All right, let's get going. So welcome everybody to today's episode of the Uplink. I'm Jacob Swen. I'm the product marketing manager here at Helium. And today we've got Otis and Dan from Lark Alert here to talk about how they're using the People's Network to provide IoT solutions for supply chain challenges, tough to say right there, and other things. So really excited about this episode. Quick blurbs about Helium a little bit. Actually, we'll do some agenda stuff first. Some intros, just a little about Helium, real quick about how Helium and Lark Alert started working together. And then I'm going to pass it off to Otis and Dan to go through their intros, their overview, some demos. I'm going to show some devices, lots of cool stuff. And then at the end, we'll take some Q&A for 10 or 15 minutes. So if you guys want to drop questions in the chat, I will pull those at the end. We might be able to answer some as we go. Just put any of those in the chat and we'll take a look. So quickly, Helium was founded in 2013 with a mission to make it easier to build decentralized wireless networks. And we're honored to be backed by some of the best VC firms in the world in order to make this vision a reality. You can see some of those listed down below. So very thankful for those people for helping us out. And Helium is an incentive built network. So anyone, anywhere can be rewarded for creating wireless coverage. Hosts earn HNT both for creating coverage and when devices use their hotspot to connect to the internet. So this allows for an affordable nationwide wireless network to be rapidly built. And so why Helium, you might ask? And there's a focus on applications, not network building. So Helium is the largest public IoT network in the world. Accelerated coverage, and it seems like just yesterday we hit 100,000 hotspots. I think we were celebrating it last episode of the Uplink, and now we're already at over 108,000 hotspots in over 11,000 cities and 112 countries. So really exciting to see the network growth, and we've got over 200,000 hotspots on order as well. So more and more coming online each day. We have a diverse ecosystem, both of customers and hardware makers. We have low costs, so less than $1 per sensor per year for devices sending data every 5 minutes. And then the accessibility is really cool. It's just, you can use the Helium network with basically any off-the-shelf LoRaWAN sensor. So it's really easy for anyone to just grab a sensor from somewhere, start using the network right away. Like I mentioned, we have a diverse ecosystem of hardware makers, and these are approved by the community through HIP-19. Just a few of them are Rack, Bobcat, Synchrorbit, Nebra, with more being approved as we move forward. So very cool to see that. And just some of the users of the network, again, like everything else I've talked about, this is growing pretty much by the day, new users coming on, but you can see a lot of different users and a lot of different solutions and use cases. So, tons of different applications being used on the People's Network. So that's really exciting to see all the different ways people are utilizing the network. And then a new thing that just launched last week, actually, Helium Console 2.0. So anyone who is using Helium Console to onboard devices, look at data, those types of things, Helium Console 2.0, if you aren't aware yet, is up and running. The new flows feature especially makes it super intuitive for new users and old users, really easy to kind of see the relationship between devices, functions, integrations. Really nice, especially for people who kind of learn or do better if they can kind of visualize what's happening. So to set up an account and get started using the network today, you can just go to console.helium.com, and I believe, yeah, perfect. McKenna just dropped the link to our blog on Console 2.0 in the chat as well. So that has a little bit more information on the new features, links to relevant docs and things like that you can go to check it out. So check out Console 2.0, really exciting. All right, and if you haven't already, join the movement. Go to helium.com. You can see lots of different things, like the Explorer page to show all the different hotspots coming on the network, where they're at, those types of things. You can find us on GitHub, on Twitter, on Discord. And I think we're well over 80,000 members on Discord now. And that's a great resource for people trying to find, answers to questions, just looking for more general information, those types of things about the network and how people are using it. So sign up for Discord today. Links are there. Also, like I said, I'm the product marketing manager. My email is right there, jacob@helium.com. And Mark Phillips is our vice president of biz dev, and he's a great resource as well. So his email is mark@helium.com. And I'll put this slide up again at the end too after questions. So with that, Lark Alert here today, like I said, they're originally a service provider. They've evolved to also become a sensor vendor just because of lack of product availability. And they're really excited both to help the network grow or to help the network continue to grow and to be part of that process and to help out. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to Otis and Dan to present. Welcome, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us. Let me go ahead and get my screen sharing up here.
Perfect.
All right. Can you see that? No, not yet. There we go.
Yep. Good.
Perfect. So like Jacob said, Lark Alert was founded to start monitoring different types of environmental conditions. We wanted the ability to monitor stock tanks of our farm stock tanks. We wanted the ability to monitor our cisterns. We wanted the ability to track cows. We wanted the ability to keep track of our meat produce that we save in freezers and any type of environments. And so we really started off with trying to get hardware. And that's kind of what we went about doing and found that it was hard. So just a quick startup is we're a top to bottom solution provider and engineering firm. We adapt to off the shelf LoRaWAN components with the purpose selected sensors as well as scratch built units for customer needs. We've nearly 20 years of combined experience in moving data. I've been anywhere from an app developer to a network admin to a DBA. So we're pretty good at moving data around, and we've been doing it in anything from Amazon Web Services to Influx to different types of data storages we've used. Our founders have been in database and app development for multiple Fortune 500 companies and in the LoRaWAN space for about 5 years. We started when it wasn't in the United States. Helium didn't exist back then, and really the Things Network didn't either. A lot of people use that, and there was really no devices. In fact, I was the first one to put a hotspot, or not a hotspot, but a gateway to that LoRaWAN product in Billings, and the third one in Montana. So we operate as a solution provider as well as service provider in our local area, build and test our own backyard, and then offer up these refined products to customers wherever they may be. Currently, we have customers in South Africa as well as Billings, Montana. So just span the gamut around the world. We will work with you. So we looked around a lot, and so we've chosen Helium as our preferred network for a few different reasons. One of those being that we started with the Things Network, as I mentioned, and found that we were having product down a lot. We had sensors that we needed critical information on, and we found that for one instance, there was a full period of about a week where it was just down. We didn't have any sort of people to contact. We didn't have any information. The whole system just didn't work at that time. So that really led us to start looking around, and we're like, well, we can run our own server. Ideally, we're very much a serverless environment. We like to keep everything running in microservices types of deals. So we looked around, we found ChirpStack, and we decided to move on to that. And we did that for about 2.5 years. And then in the last year, December, we found out, looked into Helium some more, and we're like, this is actually really good. This works great. The product's been tested. People are vetting this, like it's got good coverage. And that's another big thing, is that the coverage is awesome. We wanted to be able to do GPS tracking on products. And when you have to build out your own network and gateways costing, upward anywhere between $500 and $1,000 per gateway, that really eats into the ability to have a coverage of a state or even a good area. So we decided to deploy our own network. And then one of our founders operates a WISP covering 3 counties, which is awesome. He has allowed us to put the Helium gateways on some of those towers. And so we're developing our own coverage here in Billings as well, really rapidly. As soon as we can, as we get them, we put them up. So we did attempt to try Amazon's web services, and we were really hopeful about that back before we had Helium. And we found out that they didn't offer the ability to do, like Helium, a coverage that's just covered. You had to still provide, it was just kind of a glorified chirp stack. So you still had to provide your own gateways for your account, and they didn't talk across to each other. So that was kind of a no-go. So yeah, we began testing Helium back about December, and we've been loving it. It's been much better. We've been putting our devices on it as quickly as we can, and we're adding to it. So some examples of devices and products lines that we are in / are looking to develop even further on Helium. One of them is truck and temperature monitoring. So we have devices on order that we can do temperature monitoring as well as GPS monitoring at the same time in the same device. These devices have a shelf life of approximately 8 years is what we've been told on those. So when they come into us, we're going to do some serious testing on that. But that will allow us to do food quality tracking or any tracking and temperature monitoring of that as it's going around. We have a dashboard that allows us to be very customizable. We do use this type of graphing or this type of system where we can drop in pieces and parts, and this allows us to be very refined for the customer we're looking to talk to and looking to give them exactly the information that they want to see. So like if a trucking company wants to be able to see just, their trucks, and they want to have alerts that if a truck is running too hot, running temperature on a product, the trailer's not right, that'll pop up and we can make that red. We can do all sorts of things. We can make alerts on that. We can send text message alerts. We can send a push notification to the driver or the dispatcher, or really anything with that. So another example is weather monitoring that we've been able to do with it. We can do temperature, humidity, barometric pressure. We have options for all of those, and we've done that and been quite successful. In the ones we have out are very solid items. We do have devices in freezers and in static freezers in restaurants, and in one example of ours is a bait company. They have thousands and thousands of dollars of product that's set in multiple freezers around their facility, and they're all plugged in. If somebody accidentally knocks a cord out, it can lose them a lot of resources really quickly. So the nice thing about these is we can keep an eye on any aspect of that. I mean, we have sensors in progress that could do compressor status, keeping track of them, whether they're on or not, whether the door is open or closed. We already have those sensors. We can slap them on. They're sticky back, so you just stick them right on. So we can actually keep a very close eye on what's going on in an environment, and that allows people to save money on their product. If you have any sort of situation where something got unplugged or the compressor starts failing, if it happens after everybody's left, you don't know until you come in the next morning, and sometimes that can mean an entire freezer of lost items or an entire container. Another one that we've done is smart home water and fuel management, kind of a whole farm and ranch kind of management deal. We have depth sensors that can detect water level, and we've done battery management so we can see RV levels. So say if you want to keep track of your RV or your solar outposts, watering system, we can see that. We can help you get that online. So the kind of the whole idea is that we've set ourselves up to be able to help people in whatever they want to see, and whether that is any of these items we've discussed. We've designed our system so that we can prototype quickly, design it. We're working on getting some ability to print custom circuit boards, and currently we just have them. I mock them up and we ship them out, and we get them in and we can reflow them and build them right here on site. So one of the other goals in the very beginning was the smart management of a ranch, right? So this is a couple pictures of items that we keep track of. This one's a propane tank out on a farm, and then this one is over here on the side is a cistern monitor that keeps track of the water level, the level in it, so you can know that you're not running out of water. In Montana especially, there's locations where pumps down in wells are not able to provide the instant quantity that they pump really slow. And so cisterns in Montana are a very common thing. And a lot of times people actually haul water here. And so being able to demo this out and show people and have people using it, and they can call up their water company and say, hey, we're running low, or we work with water companies and have them just have a notification when a customer's water's low, they can just go up there and take care of it. Here's another one that we're rolling out. Since we have a WISP, he has certain needs that are unique to that industry, which is monitoring tower sites that are off the grid. And in Montana, we have a lot of tower sites that are a lot of hills and a lot of mountains that are way up, way in high in elevation, and they are not accessible to power companies to really good accessibility as far as even getting them to provide fuel for them. So having a solar solution, as well as being able to monitor that solar solution, is critical to them operating. And as you can see here, we have access to view meters and battery bank monitors. And can you see my screen? Because I'll show a little battery monitor real quick.
Yeah.
I think you just have to stop presenting.
Okay. Do I have to pause presenting to actually show it?
It'll be bigger. You will show up bigger
Okay.
if you stop sharing. Yeah.
Presenting here real quick. Is that better?
Not yet. You've got to stop sharing.
All right. Stop share. There we go.
There we go.
All right. So this right here is a solution that we've developed. So part of what we do is take off the shelf hardware that we have access to, and one of these is Dragino, since we're a distributor for them. So we take one of their off the shelf pieces, and that's this guy right here, and we develop the circuitry inside, put a custom circuit board in, or any sort of required components and pieces to build a device that where you can quite literally drive up to your site, clamp these onto the terminals, put this probe that's a temperature probe right in beside the battery, and you instantly have knowledge of the status of that tower and the status of the temperatures of those batteries. A lot of new places are moving to a lithium type battery, which requires that the temperature be a certain high enough before they can charge. So this allows us to see that, it allows the person to see that before they have any major issues. So if a battery's gone down and the battery's gotten cold and they can't get out to it to take care of it, that's a quick way for somebody to monitor that and make sure that they don't damage their expensive batteries. All right, let me represent here. I guess while I got turn it off, we can show some other stuff off here. So again, here's just the standard box that we have that we can use. This has got enough room in it that we can print custom circuit boards and slide them inside and mount them right to the master card inside there. And then we have household monitoring. So if you want to monitor, we can do monitoring. Another project we're doing is monitoring voltage and current flow through some different products. And these allow us to do that. We're working on a custom solution for a client for that. Another one of our lines is the option to monitor cisterns, septic tanks. So also another thing that may be kind of unique to Montana or to certain areas of the United States is the ability to check and alarm on conditions where a pump has failed. And so one of our products is a tip over sensor. And again, that just plugs directly into our box that we use, this LHT65, and we put a custom circuit board in it and have it trigger when that happens. Those are some of those items that that's the products or the pieces for some of those dashboards that we were showing earlier. Another one that we have on our store that we've had a lot of success with is these LHT65s. And the nice thing about them is this is what we use primarily for the refrigeration and freezer management and monitoring, but they have some really cool features like the ability to do analog reads. So for some people, a simple read off of an analog device is enough that they can know exactly what's going on. This is a really handy sensor for that, and a small one that we can throw in, and it's pretty great for what it does. It does it very, very well. So we got back here.
Well, you've got the mousetrap.
So we've also got product, the Victor mousetraps. We can get those out to people. We're working with them to get those integrated into our dashboard so we can have an all-in-one solution. So if you're on your ranch, you can see, hey, I got 5 mousetraps that need to be taken care of. You can see the tank level of your water or your milking stations, any of those items really quickly and easily. To mention where we started off when we started prototyping years ago, This was one of the first barometric pressure sensors that we tried to use. It's a differential pressure sensor that you throw down in a tank, and that was the first tank monitoring iteration right there. So like we said, we did this, we started this company before Helium, or before LoRaWAN was in the United States. It was not here, and we were trying to figure out how to get it here and try to figure out how to use it, because NB-IoT was just far too expensive for us. You're looking at dollars per month instead of dollars per year. Another reason why we love Helium. All right, we're going to jump back to screen sharing here, and I'll hit a few more items on there. If that works. Share. Dan, do we have any questions that are popping up that we can answer real quick?
I have been neglecting the questions.
Okay.
I'm on them right now.
All right. So here's just a demo overview. Like, we can do a top-down view of a facility. This happens to be the bait company, where they can see their freezers all over on one screen. And we can do historical graphing on that as well. Soil conditions, one thing that we're working on developing out for farmers is the ability to kind of keep an eye on what's going on in their fields. And we're trying to do some AI work with that, so we can tell them exactly what needs to be done when, and see if they're low on nitrates or low on water content, and be able to help them produce more effectively, and maybe turn off the pivot sprinkler head when it's not needed, and not waste water. As we know, water is getting pretty scarce in some areas right now. Again, here's just another one that we can do, vehicle monitoring. We've been running these in our, here's just a demo of one in Chicago, but we've been demoing these all over. We run them in all of our vehicles so that we can keep track of them. It's kind of fun to be able to see where it's been. And we also utilize that to actually shove into backpack. So Helium's backpack unit that they have, or the interface, so we can actually see where we've been on there, and kind of the signal levels and strengths, and kind of map out what's going on. It's a cool little feature that existed. I'm not sure if that's still running or not, but we did use it at one point in time. So just to kind of wrap up what we're talking about a little bit, and I can show some more products that we kind of have in development, or a little bit more circuits that we've tried. And but Lark Alert desires to provide to individuals the ability to monitor what they want, really. The ability to see and to visualize any information that they need to get their hands on. And we love to be able to use the Helium network, because we've tried LTE. It's not everywhere. You're talking range. We're talking range that we've been able to see here, and where we're testing out, we've gotten up to 12 kilometers on a ping. That long range device that we have, this guy right here, we've had this in a metal battery box, and it's shot all the way across our town. Pretty impressive. So that's not something you'll get out of an NB-IoT device. So with that, I will let it go over to, well, let me stop sharing my screen real quick here, and we'll show a couple more items that we kind of are working on. As you can see behind us, we've got a setup of a few tools that we can custom design, monitor, and keep track of little circuits and how they're developing and how they're working. We've got some other ones that we've been able to acquire, little sensors like this, just building out the pieces and projects. So
John Lampy would like to talk about soil sensors.
Soil sensors, all right. Unfortunately, the one that we have access to is sitting in my yard. What would you like to chat about it? What's the question about?
Just asked, can you talk more about soil sensors and what hardware we're using? So I guess, is that a LR?
Sure. So the soil sensor also, it fits into this box. It's not the same unit, but it's the same style of box. It has 3 probes on the end of it, and it does temperature of the soil. It does the electrical conductivity of, so it does the conductivity to measure the nitrates in the soil, as well as to measure the water, using those 3 different variable probes. And it allows us to see that really easily. I can see.
What is that for? Do you have one?
I don't have one here.
That's a Dragino product.
Yeah, it's also a Dragino product. Like I said, it comes in the same box as this. We can source that real easy. We should have an order here coming in pretty soon, and with a couple of those on board actually.
If just in general, kind of what plans do you have for the future, especially as like the network grows? I mean, what do you guys kind of have in mind for how you want to utilize the Helium network as it continues to grow?
As it continues to grow, we're going to continue to add devices
Awesome.
as we can get more of them sourced for one. As you know, that's kind of a hang up for us, as well as getting these in. We're able to get a lot, but there are still some out there that we're working on getting. There's a really cool company out of Russia that we're looking at working with that does a sensor for the industrial market, which is the 4 to 20 milliamp circuits. They are 20 volt requirement, so they're a lot higher than most things can do, but they don't respond unless you have that higher 20 volts, but they only have a 4 to 20 milliamp response. So we're looking at working with them as well, which would get us into the industrial markets and be able to monitor things as gas tanks, pressure valves, anything like that, where you're dealing with industrial automation equipment.
Gotcha. And you talked about someone in Russia working with them. Like, are there expansion kind of plans? You know, I mean, are you going to be all over the world soon? Is it still just kind of staying
well, like
in the
I said,
US?
we already have clients in South Africa.
Nice.
And we continue to grow on that. So yeah, we're not going to stay just in the United States. We're willing to work all over. It's just a matter of changing out the chips and grabbing the right one with the right frequency.
Yeah, for sure. There's a couple questions in the chat here I'll throw in. Slavin, if I'm pronouncing these wrong, I apologize, asked, do you develop your own sensor probes or are you buying them from suppliers?
We buy most of them from suppliers. There's a lot of them out there that we don't have the necessary means to do. And they already exist for a very good price. So there's really no reason to develop most of those. If there is a good case for one that we can't find that is just way out there, we might look into that. But for the most part, we're able to just pull devices that are available on the market. I mean, there's even ones like O2 saturation sensors that we have access to that we've used. And that's one right there.
Okay.
And that's a pretty small little part, but that's a very important item when you're dealing with ponds and hydroponics or aquaponic systems, as well as groweries or anything like that, where you're trying to keep the oxygen saturation level high enough. So,
got it.
Long answer to the question. Sorry.
No, that's great. That's great. Joshua asked you specific companies, like, have you guys looked at Invoxia in Europe since they're already aligned with Helium? Is that something that you guys are aware of? He was curious about that.
We have not. We haven't heard of them. I'd be curious and interested in more information if they wish to send it our way.
I was just
All right.
clarifying that anything that can send to Helium, we can use.
Yeah, anything we can send, anything that device that can send to Helium, we can use. And we have a pretty good relationship with any of these companies that we've worked with to get the coders working properly and shoving the information into our dashboards. We have not had any issues with that. So,
all right. I know you've talked a lot about like working with farmers and things like that. And I'm just curious, you know, in my time working with Helium, kind of going after that smart ag vertical a little bit, sometimes it's been difficult to get farmers, especially who've been doing it for kind of generations, to be willing to adopt like new technology like this. Have you run into that problem? And if so, how do you kind of get around that or convince them that it's a good thing?
a little bit, but the majority of the younger farmers are definitely interested in trying to get everything more automated, and they're trying to get more information to provide a better product, usually is what they're looking for. So cattle, for example, there was one instance that I've heard of that in order to get paid out, if you lose a cow to a predator, you have to find that cow and provide the evidence that you lost it to a predator. That can be very difficult to do in certain situations.
Yeah.
Having an ear tag or a tracker on that animal allows you to just find it real quickly and get paid out from the government for that. That's a particular example where, a rancher would normally say, I know where all my cows are. I don't need to keep track of them, Well, the truth of the matter is that may not always be the case, and they wander out. And there's also a lot more roads going between ranches now. And that anytime a cow crosses a fence, if your fence is down, you're liable for that animal, even if it's on public road. So we can do perimeter fencing. So the moment an animal crosses a perimeter, we can send out an alert saying that, hey, your cow crossed the fence. You probably should go find it.
Yeah.
Saving people time and money, and also liability.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I've wondered about that with farming. Let me see, looking through the chat here. Well, I guess, I mean, with some new things coming on board with, like I talked about the network growing, are there any things that you've seen from Helium that you're super excited about with what you guys are doing, you know, just,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So everybody kind of knows that the shortage of standard gateways is a challenge, but we are actively working with Dragino to get these out in people's hands. So this is an outdoor gateway that works with Helium, runs Gateway RS. Currently, it is a packet only transferring device right now. It does not earn any Helium. So you don't buy this to earn Helium. You buy this to get your devices on the network. That's the biggest point of this. So this is something, you know, farmer and rancher, he's not going to care too much that he's running a Helium. He's not getting Helium coin, but he does want to know what his Stockton global is. These guys I can put outside, drop it in place. It talks to the Helium network. It stays online. It keeps up with everything, and it'll eventually be shown in the Explorer, and you'll be able to see them and keep track if they're online or offline. And I think down the road just a little farther, we're actually going to be able to see Helium income from these for packet transfer only, but that's still coming up and coming. So the biggest thing for these for us is that they work now. We can get a farmer or rancher or a city employee or official downtown or a business that in the basement of their building, there's coverage all around them, but they can't quite get it to their basement to provide that mousetrap with coverage. This is what we can put in. We also have the indoor unit right here that we can do with that same thing with. It's also, we have access to this and can order these. We have a few more coming in here in the next couple days. These are getting harder to find. So for a while, I think this is going to be a little bit of a supply chain issue, but for the most part, we can get them and drop them in right away, and then we can get somebody online. So
Awesome. You know, that as far as questions from me, I think that's about it. If anyone has any more in chat, please drop them in there. Otis, Dan, do you guys have any last things to add before we finish up here?
Dan, you want to add anything on in?
I
seen some questions.
Just focusing on the chat. A couple of questions were, how dependent are we on Helium? I did answer that in channel. Do you want to expand on that? I mean, I said we've hitched our wagon to Helium.
Yeah. So
it's the way to go, but
yeah, I would love to expand on that a little bit. So we are going to be dependent on Helium. That is something we've made a decision as a business to call. And the reason we decided to do that was because we've seen a lot of their options. We've tried a lot of the other options. There are benefits to having your own gear, but for the most part, we've decided that with what we want to be able to do, which is provide global coverage to customers, that Helium is the right approach. Helium is offering what we want. And that means the biggest thing that we can do that nobody will ever be able to really do other than Helium is be able to track an item across the country, easily track an item across the country. So if I throw a GPS trip in a semi truck, I know that I'm going to get pings all the way across the United States. I might not get them in every location, and I might not be able to get them between towns yet, but I will be able to get them all the way to my destination. In order to do that individually, you would have to have such a massive network, what Helium is, or you just couldn't get that information. You'd have to rely on cell phone networks, which is, again, that cost of $1 per month or more per device.
Got it. And we just had a couple more questions. Sorry, monitoring the chat here. So Jonathan asked, and you guys talked about this a little bit, I think, but do you sell any of the sensors that you've created? And if so, where can they go to look at them in more detail? So where can you direct them for those?
Yes, we sell all of our sensors on store.larkalert.com. Anything that's on there is readily available. If you're looking for a custom solution type of sensor, hit us up. We can, we have those in very small quantities usually, unless somebody has a purpose case that they're wanting, many of them, then we'll probably have a few extra on the site kind of thing. But for the most part, if you want a custom sensor, hit us up and we'll work together with you to do that. So
awesome.
Any of the ones I've showed today pretty much are available as is right now on the store, or available within a few calls. So
cool. Dan, do you want to drop the link, that store link, in the chat for people if they're looking for that? That might help a little bit. Lawrence asks, how can we onboard people to your products, and do you have an affiliate set up yet?
We don't do an affiliate setup really yet. We haven't really considered that, but for onboarding products, we have a console, and we pretty much just add a person based on their email. So a lot of what we do is word of mouth slash individual add-ons. We haven't set our system up to be like a just come drop your stuff in and do that. We don't really do that as much. We can a little more so, but the main thing is just give us a call, give us a text, or shoot us an email saying, hey, let's hook up and work on getting you online. We can do it pretty quickly. We develop custom dashboards, so we don't have a whole lot of like, we have a couple for the LHD65 and some of those standard sensors we offer. We have a couple dashboards that just automatically work, but we like to customize the dashboard to you, to your product, your challenge, your solution. So.
All right.
So let's go over a couple questions like, is the network big enough? And so one of the reasons we chose Helium is because the network is big enough, and where it's not, you can deploy your own gateway.
Yep.
That's how you beat the cell network. So if you want to expand there, that's one of the questions in agreement.
Okay. Were you guys able to hear that? Dan talk about that?
Yeah, a little bit. You might want to repeat it, Otis.
Yeah, I'll repeat that a little bit. So the network, I believe, is at the moment big enough to get started. Like I was saying, if you have a mousetrap you're throwing in the bottom of a business and you can't get it to respond, that's where you get one of these lighter gateways and put it in. Then you just have that coverage right there already ready to rock and roll. So it allows you to do both, combine your ability to add coverage with the global coverage that's provided by everybody in your area. Without that, you're relying either on a cell network or you're building your own, and building your own is very expensive.
All right, Dan, were there a couple more you want to throw in? We can probably do one or two more questions here and then start to wrap up.
Geofencing on animals, which we have access to.
Yep, kind of talked about geofencing animals. We actually work with our partner down in South Africa on that one, utilizing their platform and product a little bit more so we kind of tag team that one. So.
All right, I'm going to share just the contact slide one more time. I had a couple of people ask about emails and stuff. So remember, you can find out more about Helium at helium.com. My email, jacob@helium.com. Mark Phillips, who's our VP of BizDev, mark@helium.com. Find us on GitHub, Twitter, Discord. You can ask any questions, especially on Discord, great resource. Other than that, Dan, Otis, any last things, and we'll get everyone out of here.
I'm going to answer one more question in the chat here.
Perfect.
And then I guess everything else, just be an email and we can follow up.
Yep. Hit us up. We're ready to work with people, and let us know what you need.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So Dan, you're answering in the chat. Did I hear you right? You're typing in the chat for somebody? Okay. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming to this episode of the Uplink. Thanks Otis and Dan for being here. And remember, guys, follow up with Otis and Dan. They're more than happy to talk about it. You can see they're very passionate about what they're doing.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yep. And again, shoot me an email, find us on Discord, Twitter, wherever, and ask any questions, and we will get back to you.